The sports world continues to mourn the untimely and tragic death of Kobe Bryant and the other 8 members aboard the helicopter crash earlier Sunday morning. And the reaction from the sports world has been, frankly, unlike anything I've seen, at least within my lifetime, in terms of the widespreadness of the reaction and the heartfeltness of it.
If we talked and showed you guys everyone who had current athlete who had reached out about this, former athlete, coaches, we'd be here all day. I mean, it'd be a 20-hour show. So we're going to outline some of, the bigger figures and the guys connected to Kobe who reached out and all that stuff. But Twitter, the top 27 things trending yesterday all had Kobe XYZ, right? Everything trending on social media had to do with the passing of Kobe Bryant. That is the impact that he had. That is the legacy he leaves behind. The outreach that Kobe Bryant had, not just on the sports world, but really everybody worldwide.
Of course, it wasn't just Kobe who was tragically involved in that helicopter crash. One of his daughters, Gianna, was also involved in there, along with 7 others, most of them connected to the team, the game that they were going to. A truly heartbreaking moment, and I think for many people, Harrison, the loss of Kobe Bryant in and of itself was so painful. The loss of his daughter, too, took it to an even more just depressing place.
That put it over the top because everybody on Twitter was like, you got to be kidding me, not Kobe. And then a couple hours later, the news breaks that Gianna was on the flight as well. And it's like, you got to be kidding me, right? As if this wasn't bad enough already. Then obviously, initial reports, 5 people on board. Then you find out there's 9. So it just keeps building. It gets worse and worse as the news comes out. And just you see all those, videos like him when he's on Jimmy Kimmel talking about how someone came up to him one time and was like, hey, you and Vanessa need to have a son so he can carry your legacy into the NBA. And Gianna stepped in and was like, I got this. I will carry the legacy. And Kobe's like, damn right you will. That's the kind of relationship he had with all of his daughters, but especially Gianna, who was a promising young player in her own right.
So, some of the biggest in the sports world, of course, the NBA especially, issued statements on the unfortunate Kobe death, and their reactions really self-explanatory how much Kobe meant. Here was Michael Jordan, who in a way kind of pats the torch from himself to Kobe Bryant as that generation changed over. I am in shock over the tragic news of Kobe and Gianna's passing. Words can't describe the pain I'm feeling. I love Kobe. He was like a little brother to me. We used to talk often, and I will miss those conversations very much.
And Kobe and MJ connected forever, right?
Oh, yeah.
Our CEO here at Chat Sports, James Yoder, tweeted out, I thought this was very appropriate, that everybody growing up wanted to be like MJ. Well, Kobe's the only one who ever got close. You guys have probably seen the video going all over the place that someone spliced together of just identical shots that, Kobe, copied, if you will, of MJ. He's the closest thing in my lifetime we've seen to Michael Jordan. They obviously have a great relationship, and it hit hard and hit home for Michael Jordan.
Jerry West, who was instrumental in bringing Kobe Bryant to L.A., one of the worst days of my life. I'm just devastated by this news. He was more than an iconic basketball player. He was someone who inspired millions of fans, not here in this state, not here in the United States, all over the world. He was beloved. For me, this is a god-awful day.
Yeah, I don't think you can say it much better than that. And one of the talking points, all over the internet yesterday that came out of this is it time to change the logo? Jerry West, of course, the logo of the NBA. A lot that's been, kind of a thing trending right now is make Kobe the new logo of the NBA.
I'm intrigued by it.
I like the idea. I don't know the process of how you go about that as a league. I'm sure, there's some kind of vote, committee involved to put that in place. I'd love to see Jerry West take the lead and say, hey, it's been me for a while. Let's pass the torch on to Kobe Bryant. I think there's a lot of ways you can honor Kobe. You can do that. Saw a couple of ideas out there. How about at the All-Star game?
I like
Team
it, yes.
Giannis wears number 8. Team LeBron wears number 24. I think that's a great idea. There's a ton of different ways the NBA can honor Kobe Bryant. We encourage you guys to, throw your ideas out there as well. We'll put some of them on screen for you guys. But I think there's a million different things that the league can do here.
I kind of like the logo idea.
I love the logo idea.
I kind of like the idea of him pushing the jersey out. I think that can make it very cool. And there are, of course, dozens of photos. The fadeaway also, I'm sure, a good option there. I also really like the 8 and 24 for the All-Star game. And that one's been floated out a bunch on social media.
I'd be shocked if that did not happen.
That makes so much sense and is so perfectly fitting there.
18-time All-Star.
Who always dominated the All-Star game.
Yeah, absolutely.
No one's got more NBA All-Star game MVPs than Kobe Bryant. At least he's tied for the first part there. Some more reaction here. This one coming in from Shaq, the longtime teammate of Kobe Bryant. There's no words to express the pain I'm going through with this tragedy of losing my niece Gigi, my brother Kobe Bryant. I love you and you will be missed. My condolences go out to the Bryant family and families of the other passengers on board. I'm sick right now. Then his follow-up tweet was, Kobe was so much more than an athlete. He was a family man. That was what we had most in common. I would hug his children like they were my own, and he would embrace my kids like they were his. His baby girl Gigi was born on the same day as my youngest daughter.
Yeah, and I think, it's no secret Shaq and Kobe had a complicated relationship, but I think they did rekindle and reconnect through their families. Kids similar ages, kids that got along. I mean, we saw Kobe, this is even more tragic, the morning of, before he took off on this helicopter ride, he messaged Shaq's son, Shareef O'Neal, checking in and be like, hey, you good, man? And this is because Shareef's transferring from UCLA, so he's, being like that uncle figure, say, hey, man, what's going on? Keep me in the loop type of thing. And, Shareef responded. Obviously, he's going through that transfer process and dealing with that himself. But, Shaq, saying there, Shaq and Kobe, it's always going to be an interesting thing how you look at the relationship together on the court. But I was glad in their later years after they retired, they were able to, reconcile and connect through their families as well. And certainly a very classy gesture from Shaquille O'Neal.
LeBron James, of course, also heavily connected to this whole storyline because of the rivalry and friendship he shared with Kobe Bryant. And just one night before this tragedy, it was LeBron James who surpassed Kobe Bryant on the scoring list while wearing shoes dedicated to Kobe.
I mean, you can't make it up.
It's just
like it's you just cannot make it up. It's not only that he passes him in Philadelphia where Kobe played high school basketball. I mean, just the interconnectedness of this whole thing is just weird. After the game, LeBron spoke for a long time about the impact Kobe had on his career. Showing that it was possible to make the jump from high school to the NBA like Kobe did. LeBron ended up doing that as well. Obviously, you can't do that these days, but just at the time, what that meant, paving the way for guys like LeBron James. He has not released an official statement yet. He's clearly in mourning. We saw a video yesterday when the team flight landed back in Los Angeles. He's crying. He's hugging different people outside of the airport facility there. So I would expect that LeBron at some point will release something, a video or something like that. And obviously they will honor him at the next Lakers game as well.
It would appear that LeBron's waiting for the Lakers to make a statement, who are, of course, waiting for Vanessa Bryant, his wife, to issue something as to the tragedy that cost her a husband and a daughter. Again, the all-time scoring leaders, LeBron James, just passed Kobe Bryant, and as horrible as this is, Kobe's last tweet was actually dedicated to LeBron James as a sign of respect for LeBron passing him in terms of the all-time leading scorers in the NBA.
And we kind of saw this post-basketball career for Kobe, right? That, when he was playing, he wouldn't have given up anything. He wanted to be the highest scorer. But he understood after the game, guys passing me, that's greatness. That's what the game's all about. Pass it forward. And that's what he's saying here. Hey, man, awesome stuff. And to pass him as a Laker as well, I think that means something as well. And then, that's, like you said, the last tweet you ever sent out. And plus, what's crazy about this, Kobe has almost, I think it's 600,000 or 700,000 new Twitter followers since this whole thing happened. I know this tweet itself has a few 100,000 likes on it as well. Just crazy, the interconnectedness between LeBron and Kobe Bryant and how this all played out.
Kind of discussed this earlier, and I think we can do it again. Your favorite Kobe Bryant memory? Of course, so many are in shock and in sadness here, but we can focus on some of the positive side as well in terms of the memories that we've had since Kobe Bryant in terms of his NBA career. So Harrison, I know we'll go more in depth later, but I want to hear your favorite one.
My number one, if I had to pick right now, was the 60 burger on his final game.
Okay, that's fair.
In the grand scheme of things, did that game really matter? Probably not, but it just outlines the competitor that he was. Wasn't a good player at that point in his career and willed himself one more time to come up big, get one more game winner, and knock the Utah Jazz out of the playoffs. I thought that was something to see.
Justin with a very good one in the comments section says, I met Kobe one time when he dropped 42 on my Spurs. A genuine man, funny. I'm at a loss for words. I can't believe yesterday happened. 2020 is already a horrible year. Ray Thompson, next up here, says, I remember Kobe Bryant in 2007 in San Antonio when they played against the Spurs. He was a humble and genuine man. I know we got a decent amount of Spurs fans and Dallas local people in here, so I'm not surprised there are some people from San Antonio. Two-time when he beat the Suns off the jump ball buzzer beater. You remember that one?
That's my favorite postseason moment of Kobe's career, when he pulls the jersey like this, when the classic, elbow jumper fadeaway that he hit, nothing but net to beat the Phoenix Suns. And that one, that's always a visual I will remember. I was watching that game live. That's something that certainly stood out to me. I mean, he had a ton of game winners in his career, but that one in the playoffs against Phoenix is certainly one I will always remember.
You think, of course, the 81-point game, I've seen that mentioned in the comments. Yeah. That was a very obvious one as well. And then one that happened off the court, I think that we should mention, was the Dear Basketball poem was turned into a little short, and Kobe actually won an Oscar for that, which kind of crazy to have an NBA superstar with an Oscar.
And I know we kind of briefly mentioned it earlier, and that's what makes this whole thing so sad. Sure, he's a Hall of Fame basketball player, probably could have coached in the NBA if he wanted to, but his talent's outside of sports and was just beginning. He had a production company, was doing all kinds of stuff off the court. He's worth like $600 million. That's not just from his basketball career. Like, this guy was talented in so many different ways, and that's why him dying so young is just tragic, because he had so much left to give. Yeah. And that's what makes this whole thing so tough.
Because Kobe, in so many ways, Harrison, was the Laker. Even with Magic Johnson, but for maybe especially the younger generation, Kobe was the guy.
And maybe it's because of the social media era that modern players get more recognized than before, but 20 years, same franchise, 5 championships with the franchise,
with one trade.
And I think it's just his attitude that he played with is why he sticks out to so many. I mentioned his competitive fire, his willingness to be great. You see all these articles pouring out, like the guy. He alienated so many things off the court and away from basketball during his career and before his career, because he wanted to chase greatness. Yeah. He wanted to accomplish. I mean, he wanted to be MJ. He came pretty damn close. I'm not going to sit here and say he was a better, more accomplished player than Michael Jordan, but he's about as close as I've seen.
Especially in play style.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that was one of the major ways that Kobe was able to emulate and be like Mike when really no one else was able to do it quite in that fashion. And that's why so many current NBA players, even the young ones, like a Quinn Cook, maybe more so, especially the young ones, because you have a current generation of basketball players who, as they were developing, they were the ones idolizing Kobe Bryant.
Think about this. If I grab a piece of paper and crumple it up and shoot,
you yell Kobe.
What am I saying?
Everyone yells Kobe.
Kobe, that's what you do. You're not saying MJ. You're not saying any other basketball great. That. It sounds dumb, but that's the Kobe impact. That's what it is, especially, we're both in our mid-20s. I think if you're the age of 30, I'll say 18 to 30, somewhere in there. Yeah. Kobe was the guy. When you're growing up watching the NBA, it's Kobe Bryant. Sure,
everyone knew Kobe.
There's other guys. If you're a fan of the Mavs, there's Dirk, Duncan in the Spurs, but it's the Lakers, man. It's Kobe Bryant. He won all those titles. He was the greatest player in the league. That's who he was.
Trae Young had a Kobe-like game, even wearing the number 8 jersey, and maybe one of the best ways to incorporate how he transcended the binds of normal basketball players. He was a one-name player.
Yeah.
There aren't that many of those guys.
Dirk in his era is the only other guy.
Dirk,
a one-name
maybe
guy.
Yao, but that was just
brief.
It was easy. But
LeBron,
Kobe,
obviously.
Kobe had that category.
I want to mention this on the Trae Young thing too. And to focus not just on Kobe here, his daughter Gianna, who also tragically passed away in this fatal helicopter crash along with 9 total people, she told Trae Young recently, a few months ago, that he was her favorite player to watch. And he goes out there, 45-point double-double on 24 shots. Yeah. I mean, you can't make it up,
It's
dude.
scary how that stuff, or maybe scary is the wrong word, but it is incredible how that ends up going down. Now, the Dallas Mavericks have taken a unique step as well here. Mark Cuban has said that no Maverick player will ever wear the number 24 jersey again. They will be retiring it.
That's a nice gesture, but more importantly, I think it shows the impact not just with the Lakers, right? A franchise really not connected to Kobe and the Lakers at all. Sure, Kobe and Dirk had a few battles, but and Dirk respects him greatly. He was his favorite player in the league. But the Mavericks, within a few hours, decide they're not going to have anyone else wear number 24. That's the Kobe impact on the NBA.
Speaking of Dirk, by the way, he issued a statement as well. This is hitting me really hard. I will always remember coming home after games so I could watch you dominate the fourth quarter. You inspired so many around the world, including me. You will always be missed. You will always be remembered, and you will always be loved. Rest in peace with your angel Gigi.
And he's referring to that there, saying, "What are you talking about? Watching the fourth quarter, West Coast game." So he's getting home after his post game, his training or whatever, rehab stuff after games. He's getting home, and Kobe's going for 20 in the fourth to beat somebody. And I think that's probably why he respected Kobe the most, because a lot of current players don't get to watch other players because they're focused on their own game. But since Kobe's playing on the West Coast, Dirk's able to watch him some. Respected him a lot. Think about this. They're two of 3 or 4 total players to spend 20 plus years with one franchise. They've got that connection as well. Dirk has spoken a ton throughout his career that he respects Kobe more than anyone in the NBA. So I know this is hitting hard for him as well.
Troy Daniels also brings up the 24-second violations that each of the teams took in all the games yesterday, or variations of it. And he hopes that continues throughout the week.
I would expect so.
That was a very touching moment to see across the NBA. I think sort of with the Spurs and Raptors were the first teams to do it, but a lot of these teams took either 24-second shot clock violations for 24 number Kobe, or 8-second backcourt violations.
I think we saw the Magic do the backcourt version, which of course if you don't cross midcourt and 8 seconds or less, you get an 8-second violation. That is what they chose to do in a couple of the games as well. I think every single game, once the news came out, at least did the 24-second violation. I would expect that to continue to every team who did not play yesterday, teams in action today and on Tuesday as well. Nice touch, obviously. I'm sure every single arena is going to be honoring Kobe before the game as well. I would expect this to hit all 30 NBA teams.
And maybe one of the players that this has impacted the most among the current players is Kyrie Irving, who was incredibly close to Kobe Bryant, and Bryant kind of played that mentor-type role for Kyrie Irving, who was the Knicks were set to play the Nets, and when Kyrie heard about the news, he immediately actually left the arena and did not play in the game.
I mean, he was so hurt by this, he just turned around and went home. Like, wasn't going to play, no statement, nothing. Haven't seen anything yet from Kyrie on this. We'll certainly monitor that. But there's an old clip from a couple years ago going around where Kobe was asked, which of the young guys, because he's been known to mentor current players in the league. You see him do those detailed videos for ESPN, breaking down people's games. And he mentioned Kyrie specifically. Kyrie, after the Cavs won the title, down 3-1 against the Warriors, won 3 straight, he FaceTimed him from the locker room and was like, just thank you, man, like you believed in me, blah, 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 all that stuff. So they've got a very tight-knit relationship. So certainly Kyrie, when he found out the news, he was not going to play.
And especially when Kyrie hit a very Kobe-esque shot to secure that
step-back
victory.
three.
That was very much a classic Kobe shot there. And the reaction from around the sports world has been incredibly moving, quite frankly, to witness. And I kind of mentioned this earlier, Harrison. I'll ask you this. Should the NBA have just canceled all of the games yesterday?
It's so hard to say. I mean, you don't want to make it about this, but there are logistical factors that go on here. I mean, you can't 20 minutes before a game tips off you can, but you have to deal with the consequences of that. You've got TV sponsors. You've got, ticket sales. And the NBA would have handled all that, I'm sure. But I mean, it's just one of those tricky deals. Obviously, I think in some cases playing helps, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a distraction. I think for Trae Young, it was a motivation. You saw him tweet after the game. That one was for you, Mamba, because certainly a player he looked up to. We talked about that earlier as well. I'm not sure some of these teams should have been playing, but I know that I'm not qualified to make that decision.
That's fair.
That's probably the best way I could say it.
Some players, I'm sure, wanted to, because I almost wonder if the Mamba mentality dictates that you do play the game.
I mean,
but also maybe you need to save the players from themselves at some point.
And I think also, you remember Isaiah Thomas playing in the playoffs a couple of years ago, the day after his sister died. Yeah. Sometimes playing, it's a distraction. It's hard to say. It hits every player differently.
This one, I think, hit me in a more impactful way. It was Magic Johnson's statement. And he said, I thought he was going to live forever, of course, referring to Kobe Bryant. I thought he was invincible. He played like that. He walked like that. He impacted the world. And very few athletes get to impact the world like Kobe Bryant did. I'm not supposed to be doing this. He is supposed to be talking. He is way too young. I was supposed to pass away. He was supposed to talk about me. This is a sad day.
Yeah, the last part of that
That's
there
painful.
is really what hit me too, because, obviously Magic Johnson has kind of lived a remarkable life battling AIDS for 25 years now or whatever it is, and he's saying there, look, like, I'm the one who's supposed to be gone. Like, I'm older, you know. Kobe had so much left to give, and for me to be sitting here having to talk about the life of Kobe Bryant, that's tough to read. That's tough to hear from Magic Johnson. And he even said he thinks Kobe Bryant's the greatest Laker ever. I think that's certainly up for debate. But you're talking about two of the top five right there with Kobe and Magic. And I would say in the 80s and 90s, Magic would take that throne. And I think 2003 or 4 plus, Kobe Bryant would take that throne.
I wonder if we've reached the point where the other people in contention, namely Magic, would be like, nope, it's Kobe.
Yeah.
And Kobe will
Kobe.
go down as the greatest because he played so long and for so great with the LA.
And I think when you ask this question, you have to, okay, is he the most talented ability-wise Laker ever? Probably not. But just, he played his entire career there. 20 years, 5 championships, his impact in the LA community, off the court. When you think the Lakers, you think Kobe. Like, LeBron's a better player than Kobe is, but you don't think of LeBron as a better Laker than Kobe Bryant. Kobe is the Los Angeles Lakers, so I'm typing my Y for yes. I think when you add it all up, he is the greatest Laker ever. We encourage you guys to let us know what you guys think about Kobe's impact with the Los Angeles Lakers.